Hey, welcome back. On this episode of Greg's Carport, we're going to go ahead and take a look at my son's 2005 Ford Expedition that we went up and got in the Bay Area a few days ago. I posted that video up a couple days and let you know we'd give this one a walk around, check it out, see what it's got on it, and we'll go from there. You stupid car! Hey, so what we have here is a 2005 Ford Expedition XLT model. This belongs to my son. He bought it. He wanted something that he could take up into Yosemite once in a while if it's snowing or whatever case may be. But he also wanted something that was still comfortable and would be easy to drive around, and definitely this fits that bill. Again, it's a 2005. It's in a gray color. It has a tan interior on it, which we're going to show you here in a second. As you can see, it's in really good condition as far as the body's concerned. There is absolutely no major dents or dings in this thing. It's a one-owner car, and the guy that we bought it from did a lot of maintenance on it over the years, and so it definitely shows that maintenance was done to it. So this is the XLT model. In 2005, Ford came out. The base model was an XLS. Then it went up to the XLT. From the XLT, you went into the Eddie Bauer. And then above the Eddie Bauer, you actually had a limited model, which came with all the bells and whistles on it. This one has enough bells and this one has enough whistles to make it fun, to make it comfortable. And let's go ahead and look around and see what all that means. All right, so what we've done is we've come around here to the front of this Expedition. And one thing I wanted to point out is, just like any car that's been around for a long time, and the Expedition has been around since 1997, and this is a 2005, so this is considered the second generation of the Expedition. Now, the first generation had more of the oval type grille, where this one has more of a modern type grille. Again, the second generation, which came out in 2003. This car has a 5.7 liter V8, which, come on over and I'll give you a peek at that. So this is Ford's 5.7 liter V8 engine. Now, there's a lot of love and there's a lot of hate on this engine. A lot of people say it has problems, and to be honest, the engine does have problems. Not this particular engine, but the engine in general did have problems. But the thing that we have on our side, at least we hope, is that this is a one-owner car that was well taken care of. Oil was changed when it was supposed to be changed, and this kind of stuff. Here in California, when a car is sold, you have to get a smog certificate, which means they hook it up and they have to make sure there's no codes or anything like that in the computer. And he had it smogged just the day before we picked it up, and it passed with flying colors. Now, we see a lot of these 5.4s that run up into the high 200,000 mile range. So again, I think based on the fact that it was well taken care of by the owner, I think we've got a good one on our hands. These 5.4 liters for 2005 and 2006, they had about 300 horsepower and about 365 pound-feet of torque. Now, I've driven this a couple of times, and granted, it's not a race car, but it does pretty good for considering how big the vehicle is. So anyway, that's a little bit of what's going on with this. It's also mated up with a 4-speed automatic transmission, and this one does have 4-wheel drive. So let's go ahead and we'll take a peek on the inside and see what we got going there. So we moved inside of this Expedition just to give you guys an idea of what it looks like inside. Now, this is based on a Ford F-150. So when you look at the interior, if you had a F-150, it's going to pretty much look the same. This has the leather trim, so it has the 2 captain seats up front, leather trim. It's got this massive center console. You could probably fit, I don't know, a 6-pack of root beer in there if you wanted to. Anyway, up above we have the air conditioning controls for the back. We have a sunglass holder here, and one of the little features that I like up here as a dad is there's a little mirror right here. So when you're driving down the road and the kids are acting up and they're blaming each other as to who's really at fault, as the mom or the dad, you can just watch in that mirror and you know which one's actually causing the problem. So got that little mirror there. We've got two little map lights on either side. Again, we've got the air conditioning controls, which controls the cold or the heat and the speed. And that's just because we have vents here in the ceiling going towards the back. We have nothing has been done to this car since it was new. Like I said, it was a one-owner car, so the interior hasn't been messed with. They haven't taken out the factory radio, which I kind of like, because when you have the factory radio in it, then if you want to make changes, you can change it to what you want instead of what someone else wanted. But it's got the factory radio, CD, air conditioning controls, a massive, huge glove box, which still has the original owner's manual in it. We have cup holders here. We have another bin right here for storing things. You can put your cell phone in there. We have the four-wheel drive controls. If you move the phone over this way a little bit, you'll see that we have the four-wheel drive control right here. You have 4 high, 4 low, 2 high, and automatic. You have the set here for reset, setup, and info for the gauge cluster. Of course, you have the vents here that you can open and close. We got cruise control, automatic with overdrive. And if you look at the gauge cluster, it's a good gauge cluster. It's not the best, but it's good. We got a speedometer, tachometer. We got a oil pressure gauge. We got an amp gauge. We got a fuel gauge, and we got a temperature gauge. The headliner is really clean in here. The seats, you have to remember, this thing is 17 years old. So the seats are showing some cracking in the leather, but all in all, the leather is in pretty good condition. The floors are in good condition. The brake pedal's not worn out. Well, I know a lot of people look at that and they think if you see a lot of wear on the brake, then you know the car's been driven a lot, especially like in stop and go traffic. But all in all, I think it's in really good condition. And now what we'll do is we'll go around back and you can see how cavernous this thing really is. So this is the second row of seats here in the Expedition. As you can see from the condition of these things, I'm not even sure anyone ever sat in these things. I mean, obviously over 17 years somebody has. I'm just saying based on the condition, which is really nice. Now this does have 3 different zones for climate. It has the front zone, which is just normal where you work by the radio. It has the climate controls above your head, which works at the very back for the 3rd row seat. And then if you look down here, we actually have another set of climate controls, which works for the center passengers here in this row seat. This also has volume, seek and scan for the radio, and there's 2 headphone jacks back in the days when people still had cords on their headphones. And also we have a 12 volt right here. And if you look down in here, more cup holders. Now, if you look at the door behind you, there's also a cup holder in each door. So there's one there, one on this side. So for the back seat here, this middle seat, we have a total of 4 cup holders. We also got 2 sets, so 4. So we got 2 sets of chains for it. So that comes in handy and it saves us a little bit of money. Now we'll go around to the back. We're going to show you how the rear hatch works, and we'll show you that 3rd row seat, and we'll go from there. So we moved around to the rear of the Expedition, and one thing I wanted to point out, it actually has a class 4 hitch that was part of a package that came with it. It also has a 4-pin electrical connector for it. If you look here, it also has rear sensors for helping you with parking of this big old thing. Now, one of the things that I like about the Expedition is you hit the button, it unlocks just the glass. So you can open up just the glass to get in. If you just got some grocery bags or something like that you just want to throw over and put in, there you go. You don't have to open up the whole hatch. Or if you don't have enough room behind you, you can just open up this. This just closes back down, clicks into place. Or you can open up the whole thing, which gives you lots of open space. And here in a second, we're going to show you how to lower these seats. And we'll lower this seat and the middle seats, and you're going to see how big this thing really is inside. You can actually live in here if you wanted to. All right, so I went ahead and I folded down the second row of seats. Now, they don't fold exactly flat, but once I move this rear seat down, you're going to see how much space is actually in this thing, which is a lot. What's nice about this is it actually has electrical controls for this last set of seats. So you just hit both of these buttons here, and it's going to fold down this third row seat. And even if you have the second row of seats up, you're still going to have a whole lot of room back here. So this gives you an idea, now that those are folded down, this gives you an idea of how big it really is inside here. You can get a lot of stuff in here. You can move. You could put a air mattress in here to go camping if you needed to. But just to show you what else this thing offers, we have another cup holder on this side. We have two more cup holders on that side. We have a little storage tray up here. We have a big storage tray over here. Down here, this little cubby here opens up, little storage in there. There's also like the gas reset in there if you needed to get to that. On this side, we have the buttons that you just saw me use for the seats. We have another 12 volt down here. And then this little tab right here opens up, and that's where your jack is. Now, a lot of these SUVs, the spare tire itself is underneath the truck. So there's a little thing here that you would then crank the tire down to get it off the truck. So that pretty much shows you the inside of this thing. It's a big truck. It's really comfortable to ride in. And in a few minutes, we'll go ahead and we'll take it for a drive. And you can see that it's actually a pleasure just to get behind the wheel. And it even has a roof rack, you know, just in case Aunt Edna wants to come along for a ride. Hop in, let's go for a ride. So we're just going to take it for just a quick drive here down the street, just to show you that this thing inside is actually fairly quiet. It's comfortable. Now, it is a truck. It's based on a truck, so it likes to go over bumps and it likes to shake you around a little bit. But in the scheme of things, it's actually a fairly comfortable car to drive. It's got more than enough pickup. You put your foot into it, it moves. So I really don't have a lot of complaints on this car. I think my son Jacob did a really good job of picking this one out. So there you have it, 2005 Ford Expedition XLT. I think it's going to be a good truck for my son for what he needs it for. It's not a daily driver. It's just something that he's going to drive every once in a while. And so I think it's going to work out just fine. There's a lot of these things out there. They don't demand a whole lot of price for the used ones. And you can find either Expeditions, Explorers, you can find Suburbans, you can find Durangos. There's all kinds of these things out there that are actually pretty comfortable cars. They can do a lot for you as far as towing or hauling things around, and they're pretty comfortable. I would suggest you pick one up. Just find one with the lowest miles you can. Hopefully you can find one that's got maintenance records, been taken care of, and give them a try. I think you guys will be surprised. See you next time.